Hello, everybody. Welcome to Chamber Chat, Camdenton Area Chamber of Commerce's podcast on all things Camdenton Area Chamber related. I'm Jeff Karr, the founder of the Veteran Discount Guide and also a Camdenton Area Chamber of Commerce board member. It's my pleasure to introduce our fearless leader, Cloke. She's our executive director, and we've got our fifth edition of Chamber Chat. The results are in. They still want us to continue to do this, Casey. Thank goodness. We're excited about another edition.
I guess that's a thank goodness. I'm enjoying it. I am. And honestly, I feel like it's saving me from several side-by-side conversations with our members. Like I just plug the podcast, go check it out. Happy to answer any questions one-on-one. And so it really has been great so far. And
well, I like that. You answer a question with go to the podcast.
Go to the podcast. That's right. Maybe not that direct, but like, hey.
Well, run us through what we expect for this episode of Chamber Chat. We're excited. We've got two fantastic people that are going to be joining us. Give us a rundown. What are we looking for?
Yeah. So, we have a committee that works on developing, it's our strategic communications committee. It works on this podcast. And so we're always trying to think ahead, like what's relevant to our member businesses to hear, or who's relevant to hear from, what items. And so, we knew that the legislation session was just going to be ending mid-May. So we thought what better opportunity, but then to bring our state representative for District 123, Jeff Vernetti, on and kind of highlight, this was his first legislative session as our representative, and he can kind of recap the recent session. He can cover key priorities that made it through, what didn't, what's expected to take center stage maybe in the upcoming session. I know he's been very, very busy, so I've had the luxury of hearing from him in different various meetings, but think it's going to be great to invite him on and kind of share that with our member businesses. And then, for our sponsor today too, we're really excited to have Natalie Couch. She's going to join us with Lake Area Industries. This particular topic, legislation, ties really well with her organization and the individuals that they serve. And so I know she's going to talk about her clients, who they serve, what they do, and maybe touch a little bit on like how legislation impacts their business. And so with that, as the Chamber of Commerce, we represent our business sector. We have over 370 businesses that invest in our organization. And one of the key benefits that they get out of their membership is advocacy. Many of our members are small businesses. They don't have time to stay in the loop of what's happening, what's coming down the pipeline, maybe from the legislation side, even whether local, state, or federal. And so the chambers of commerce are there to kind of support those businesses and be an advocate, share recent findings, highlight what's coming up, as well as being a voice. As we sit at tables with these elected officials, we're able to maybe guide or share information that with those decision makers on what's going to impact our businesses, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of that. And so, I will say, just kind of recapping this last session, I've been very pleased with working with Jeff Vernetti, our state representative. We invited him to our Coming to Camdenton quarterly business meeting. He did a great job coming in and talking about what was going on. We've had one-on-one conversations from the chamber side to his constituents, talking about the business sector on a few items that we're going to impact our small business members, like Proposition 8. I know I'm not going to steal his thunder, but talking a little bit about that. Childcare, it's another issue that's impacting our members. So I really enjoyed having the conversations, and I appreciated him just feeling like I had a voice and feeling like he was actually listening to everyone. And he wasn't just a one-sided, let me make this decision because this is how I feel. It was, we really talked out some things. So I really appreciated he was very genuine in representing our entire community. And so I give him a lot of kudos for that. On another more chamber level side, we have our Leadership Camden County program has gone into its 30th season. I know I talked about that at our last podcast, but one of our particular days involves a day at the state capitol. And I just really wanted to give Jeff and his legislative assistant, Angela, they were both fantastic to work with. So if you as a business or maybe as an industry are looking to do some advocacy yourself up at the state capitol, I just want to reiterate how important it is to reach out to your state rep. Like Vernetti was fantastic to call. I said, hey, I've got 26 folks coming up. Here's the day. They helped coordinate a lot of our day and just made it so much easier and more valuable to all of our participants. So utilize the relationships that you can make. I know Vernetti is very easy to connect with. I've been at several meetings where he shares his cell phone. So, you can't say that he's not reachable. He really is. And for that, we do appreciate that. So.
All right. We're going to bring you back in just a little bit. We'll talk about other things going on with the Camdenton Area Chamber of Commerce. We're going to talk about events coming up, et cetera, et cetera. Right now, we're lucky enough to have State Representative Jeff Vernetti, District 123, and we're going to highlight his first legislative session as our state representative. We're going to ask you to step out, Casey. We'll bring you back in just a little bit. And Jeff Vernetti's with us now. We appreciate you taking the time to talk with us on Chamber Chat, Jeff. Before we get into the legislative side of this, a personal side, I want to say thank you for your business in Camdenton, giving a veteran discount. Vernetti's Italian Grocery gives a nice little veteran discount. That's my passion, is veteran causes and taking care of those veterans, and we appreciate that little slice of heaven there in downtown Camdenton, taking care of our veterans.
No, it's our pleasure. We've been a proud supporter of not just your publication, but all of our veterans and first responders. So thank you for that.
My pleasure. All right. Now that the legislative session is closed, you want to summarize your key accomplishment, challenges. Let's talk a little bit about some of the things that have popped up in this first legislative session. We're excited that you're talking to us right off the bat. Some of the things that really stand out from you for that first session.
Yeah, it's been great. People ask all the time because obviously this is my first session. I won in November, so this is my first year in the legislature. And people ask all the time, how you doing, how you feeling, how you getting used to things, how are you enjoying Jeff City, questions like that, which have been nice. And like I've said to a few people, I sleep like a baby at this job. I wake up every 3 hours crying. But no, it's actually been a pleasure, especially working with, Jeff, I ran on a couple of things that I just thought were getting missed and overlooked. We wanted to exceed on constituent services. It's really the number one thing that I think state representatives have to do, passing laws, working on issues, fixing statutes. All those things are drastically important, but we're a representative democracy. Our job is to represent those that put us there. So exceeding constituent services and really excelling in that area has been something that I really try to put a focus on. But my business, my background into this, I just felt that there were a couple of things that were really being overlooked, and we've tried to hit the ground running with that. Outside of just general, being good communicators, getting back to people, you'd be amazed at the amount of people in and out of the district that have issues reaching government departments, dealing with things for their business, dealing with things for their property, a lot of DNR things, a lot of dock permit issues, just a lot of those things, a lot of senior services where, as things have moved more and more online, a lot of seniors have issues accessing that information, everything from payments to others. So really try to focus on that. I think we've done a good job and we'll continue to do that. I really have enjoyed working with not just this chamber, but all three chambers and the Convention and Visitors Bureau and non-for-profit organizations that have reached out. So that's been a true pleasure, and I think that we'll continue to do that. We held the first ever Camden County Day at the Capitol, which we will do again in the spring, which we are super excited about. We're going to pick back up a tradition that a representative 2 reps ago in my position, Rocky Miller did, where the representative did a tourism day. And I'm going to work with the representatives of Branson and a couple of other key tourism hotbeds, and we're going to bring back Tourism Day at the Capitol. So we're going to try to do those things. But again, my background, I come from the business community. Co-founder of Ballparks National. I've got Vernetti's Italian Grocer. I do some real estate development. So I just felt like that niche, especially at the lake. The lake is an economic engine for this state, and I just felt that we were being underutilized, underrepresented. So I've really tried to put my focus into those needs. So we had some successes. Obviously, too, government is slow. That's the frustrating thing about it, and it can really be bogged down by the political side of it when the House doesn't work well with the Senate, or if you don't work well with the governor's office, or if you don't work well with the lobbyists or the departmental agency or whatever it is, any of those things, any of those relationships bogs down, the process really slows. So to give you an example, and I'm not one that thinks that we should just pass hundreds of laws a year. I mean, we need less laws. We need less oversight. We need less government in our lives. But last session was viewed as one of the least productive. If you take the budget bills out of it, they only passed 29 pieces of legislation last year. Had infighting, did not work well with Governor Parsons' staff. The House and Senate did not get along. The Senate really bogged a number of things down last term. And this year, in comparison, 51 bills made it to the governor's desk. We'll see if he assigned some of those, but some he has until August to sign them, August 29th to be exact. But, he can look at those pieces of legislation and decide not to sign anything. But it seems like everything that we've sent to his desk will become law, which is exciting. So you're talking almost double the productivity in 1 year. And on the local front, one of the things that I was able to get done that really impacts not just our business community, but Missouri's business community is the devastating effects of Proposition A. For those that don't know, that raised the minimum wage to $15 an hour, which we left alone. I don't think anyone really had issues necessarily with that. Although the minimum wage has increased drastically over the last 10 years. It's actually gone up 80% in the last 10 years, when cost of living has only gone up 23%. So I don't see how those correlate. However, as a business owner in a community that most people are making above minimum wage anyway, that was something I think people can live with. But it was the paid time leave that was jammed down the business owners' throats. And again, as someone that has employed hundreds of people and, have written hundreds of thousands of dollars of payroll checks, I don't think that for 1 minute we're saying that employees don't deserve everything that they can. I'm just in the market. I'm the mindset that the market should dictate wages and should dictate policy, and that government shouldn't. And there's a lot of companies, a lot of industries, especially here in rural Missouri. We're talking agriculture. We're talking tourism jobs. We're talking seasonal businesses, restaurants in particular, grocery stores. Those two big associations were really going to be impacted. But then a lot of the ones that people don't think about here, that if you think about elsewhere in the state, imagine businesses in, say, Kansas City and St. Louis, where you have a sales force and he or she has to go to Illinois on the St. Louis side or Kansas on the Kansas City side. How do you determine paid time leave when your employees half the time out of the state? Industries like barge workers, which I didn't know, frankly, a lot about, but those men and women get paid by the port. You're talking about they're making multiple state stops. So it was just an arduous law that really was going to be difficult to enforce. Monetarily, it was going to do so many bad things. Really, it would have done a couple of things. I think it would have created an artificial inflation where businesses would have just added that new cost of paid time leave to their pricing and then passed it on to the consumer, further raising prices. I think you're going to see the drastic side where businesses would have just fed up and say, I'm not doing it. I think that would have been on the minor list, but I do know many businesses said, I'm out. We're closing our doors. We're not going to do this. But I think really the third and ultimately the thing that would have happened most, especially here in our community, is I think businesses would have just found a way to do it with less. So if you would have had 10 employees doing whatever your tasks were, and you added this extra cost, they would have found a way to do it with 8 employees or 7 or 9. I think ultimately it would have created some real holes in the market. So I was one of 3 legislators on the House side. There was 2 on the Senate side, including our Senator Mike Bernstetter, who filed my exact legislation that worked to get a full repeal of paid time leave and the sick leave mandate. So when the governor signs that will take an effect at the end of August. So there will be this 4-month period where it is law. Before you ask, I don't know what will happen. I don't know how how people will deal with it. Again, this was part of the problem. Why you'd ever institute a policy that begins May 1st, I have no idea. I think most companies will. I mean, it's law, so you have to honor it. But I think most state agencies will not be able to enforce a 4-month law. It's not realistic. So I was very proud to have that passed into law at the end of session. And when the governor signs it, it will become law. I had 2 other pieces of legislation that will make their way to the governor's desk, both local. One that I think will drastically impact our business community long term, and that's the transfer of the Lee C. Fine Airport in Osage Beach from the state to the city. The city has maintained and run the airport for 2.5 decades, but this allows the city, in some down the road plan, I don't know when that will be, but it's really the only viable commercial airline site that we have at the Lake of the Ozarks. It's the only place that we could ever put in a regional airport. So to get that done was a proud moment. That was the first piece of legislation I filed, the first that passed with my name on it. So that was great. And then the third thing that I got passed, this one I didn't. Obviously, it pains me to even have to do it because it's honoring the life of a fallen officer. We would love for her to be here rather than to have a bridge named after her. But when Felicia Carson was tragically killed, I wanted to do something to honor her. I worked with her husband and her family to find something that would be fitting of that, and we're going to memorialize the Grand Blaze Bridge in her name. That will be a ceremony and take place in the fall. But I was really proud to get those things done. So, you're talking 51 pieces of legislation. I will not promise that I will get 2 or 3 things done each year. That's unrealistic. But just to give a perspective, the person that had my seat before this in 4 years didn't pass one thing. So I think it was a very productive year, both personally and for our district in a number of different things. And really just outside those things, Jeff, on the personal side, I was on the budget committee. So really proud of the work that we did there. I was able to get a couple of things into the budget. 2, with my work on the committee, we added a treatment court commissioner in the 26 circuits. That's going to really help the flow of cases and also help our veterans that have issues in that area. Also, they specifically deal with drug treatment cases. So I'm really glad that we've able to tackle a big issue in our area. So Judge Coppin, working with the judge and his staff, they're ecstatic about being able to bring this man or woman on in the fall. That will be great. And then also another thing that I ran outside of the business community was just to try to fix our infrastructure. We have drastic needs. We've grown and we've been way too reactionary here. In my view, we've got to get proactive in addressing our needs. And one area that is just completely bogged down, it's our number one unfunded need, is that area, Highway 54 and 5. And I was able to get $4 million into the budget to drastically fix that area. MoDOT is working on their plan now, and those plans will be made available to the public soon. So I don't know exactly what they will be doing. I've heard bits and pieces of the plan. I'm leaving that up to the smart engineers that will come up with it. But from a safety and traffic flow perspective, that's a big need that we have, and really looking forward to fixing that. And then, really, as Casey has mentioned, and a number of things that we've had, whether it's through this chamber or through LORDAC or other great area groups, really trying to get involved as much as possible with advocacy for not just childcare, but for things that will help families in need. Really worked hard. It's a troubling system in Missouri when our daycares and our childcare facilities, any kids on assisted lunch or any foster kids, have to go through a program that's run by DESE. DESE has been a mess of a department. We've really tried to focus, and they've made some staffing changes because of it. So I'm really trying to focus hard and help push that department to actually pay these childcare families and centers the funds that they drastically need. They're way behind, and it should have never happened. But we passed some legislation this year, which I'm super excited about. protecting foster kids, furthering the funding that those families get, making things more accessible in that area. We're really working on some additional childcare, making tax incentives. I'm not a big tax credit guy. I don't think most Republicans are. But when it comes to families, especially families in need and children and childcare, which only then furthers the amount of people that can be in the workforce, should they choose, I think that was a really drastic thing that we were able to accomplish. I'm really proud of. And then locally, too, for the business community, we passed a huge capital gains cut. And I think the misconception is that that's just for the rich and wealthy, but that's on anybody that, buys or is given land and you have a capital gains bill on that. It's out of hand in Missouri. So we've made one of the first states to do it. I'm very excited about the growth that will bring to especially the business community. But one part of that, I think, affects our local community. We've got the changing table and a great diaper bank that has done wonders in this community, but they have opened eyes that diapers and feminine products were taxed at an enormous high rate. It's been called at a luxury tax rate. There's really no such thing as that category. However, it's taxed at the same level as boats are. And I don't, I'm a long way away from having to purchase diapers. But when I've gone and bought them for that charity and things, it's crazy the price the diapers and, feminine hygiene products are at. So we have eliminated the tax on those items, sales tax on those items as well. So just really happy with some of the things that we've done for the community. And so now here we are, the end of session. We're back really working on constituent stuff. If anybody needs anything from myself or Angela in my office, we're still working. So please contact us. Jeff.Vernetti at house.mo.gov is the email. If you've got any issues with government agencies, any local issues for your business, or if you want to recognize someone that's important to you in your area, we're doing resolutions. I've been delivering a lot of flags to businesses. A lot of flags that get ripped up with the winds and storms. We do that as well. So really, no job is too big or too small. Please reach out. I'll be around all summer doing constituent work, and we'll have a summer session, it looks like, to go back and talk about the potential funding for Chiefs and Royal stadiums to try to keep them in Missouri. So that'll be sometime in the summer, and then a veto session in the fall. But really, between now and January, I'm here working for the district. So hopefully that answers everything. And really, before I go, I know I've just been rambling on, but want to thank the not just KC and the chamber staff, the chamber board, but really all of our business community has been so welcoming to me in this position, but also just understanding what people need, what people want. It's my job to educate the local community on what's going on at the Capitol. It's a tough thing to follow for people with family and job and stuff, but the amount of people that are engaged, that care about their issues, that care about the community has been super overwhelming. It's made this job so much more enjoyable than I thought it could be, just because the level of engagement we have in this community. So thank you, KC, and Jeff, thank you for doing these podcasts. I think these things are great to get them out to the community, and hopefully we're doing a good job, and we'll continue to do that as we go here.
And we look forward to bringing you back down the line. We appreciate it. Jeff Vernetti, District 123 State Representative. Thanks for joining us on Chamber Chat.
Absolutely.
Again, thanks to Jeff Vernetti. The subject of Chamber Chat today seems to be advocacy, and we continue that theme. We're pleased to welcome Natalie Couch, Executive Director of Lake Area Industries, as this month's podcast sponsor. Very excited. Natalie, we want you to share a little bit about your organization, Lake Area Industries, and touch how legislation, we're going to pull this all back together like yours, and why it's important to stay engaged with our elected officials. Thanks for joining us on Chamber Chat. And let's talk a little bit about Lake Area Industries and the fantastic things you're doing in our community.
Well, thanks for having me, Jeff. I appreciate that. And so Lake Area Industries, we're an extended employment sheltered workshop, and we provide meaningful employees to over 55 adults with disabilities. Working allows our employees to earn a paycheck to meet and see their friends on a regular basis. But most importantly, they get to experience the pride and dignity that comes with putting in a hard day's work like they deserve. So we make those jobs possible by partnering with local businesses and providing a variety of services. Packaging and assembly is probably the best type of work for us because we can break up the jobs into separate steps and our employees can really master one particular skill. We set out assembly lines and put together various products for innovative procurement in Camdenton, such as tackle boxes, fishing poles, and ammo cans. We also package and assemble things like these little snap caps for our customer in Columbia called American Outdoor Brands. We have a big customer in St. Louis. It's a prison commissary supplier. And we put together little packages like this. We count 10 little creamer cups or 10 packages of drink mixes into clear bags so that the prisoners can't hide contraband. We also work for a couple of other local customers. K&R Manufacturing, we prepare their vinyl stickers that go on the no-wake buoys that you see on the lake. And we also count and package their hardware that gets shipped in their ladders. And then lastly, we package plexiglass windshields for skid steers for optic armor, and that way they can be shipped without breaking.
Well, one of the things that I've grown to love about Chamber Chat, my opportunity to interview people, is to find out more about Lake area businesses and things that are going on here at the Lake of the Ozarks. I knew a little bit about Lake area industries, but I didn't know all that. Are there other things that the employees take care of, and you guys are excited about this year?
Yes. Packaging is just the tip of the iceberg, but we also offer secure document destruction. So we can give a local business a secure container to put their shredding in and schedule them for a regular pickup so that they don't even have to think about shredding. It's just one thing they can take off their to-do list. We also offer drop-off shredding for just residents. So you can bring your shredding to our facility and it's just 15 cents a pound. It's a deal. We follow all the National Association of Information Destruction guidelines for shredding, so everyone can rest assured that it's being done securely, and all of that paper ends up being turned into paper towels and toilet paper when it's all said and done. But our recycling efforts don't stop there. We also take cardboard recycling and electronics recycling for free, and we recycle boat foam. And most recently, we partnered with the Missouri's Solid Waste Management District and are offering free household hazardous waste recycling events.
Well, as somebody who takes in massive amounts of cardboard and goes through electronics like crazy, how can we take advantage of the cardboard and electronics disposal from Lake Area Industries?
We have a trailer that's parked at our facility 24/7. It's by our billboard, which is at our facility at 1720 North Business Route 5. And for electronics, you can bring those to our front door anytime, Monday through Friday, 8 to 4.
Oh, outstanding. Do your employees go on other job sites and do other things like that, getting out of your main building and help other businesses?
Yes, we actually have a few work crews that go out into our local businesses and work every day. Our first crew that we established almost 3 years ago goes to Loring Care Center, and they help with housekeeping. One of our employees works in the kitchen, and one helps with laundry every single day. And then we have another crew that's been going to the Missouri Forget-Me-Not Horse Rescue for over a year now. Our supervisor takes 4 of our employees out there, and they help keep the horse stalls nice and clean. It's been beneficial to both of those business partners because our employees have built relationships with the residents in the nursing home. Of course they love the animals at the horse ranch. You can't beat that. So, our local businesses really appreciate the help of our employees, but it's been really good for all parties involved with those partnerships. But we also manage the food counter out at the Trap Shooting Association. So we're out there all week this week for the state shoot, grilling up burgers and frying French fries. But during the peak season of the tourist season, we also go to Camden on the Lake and help them keep up with their laundry. So those employees are going out there on Thursdays and Fridays right now, and that should pick up to full time soon. But lastly, we have our garden center, Gifted Gardens, and that is open in the spring and the fall. We have a great selection of flowers. And but the best thing about that garden center is that it gives us the chance to tell our community about what what kind of magic is happening inside the facility. Because so many people don't realize that we employ 55 adults and we do the packaging types of work every single day inside our building.
Well, we want to make sure we get the word out about Lake Area Industries because funding's a big part of it, and you guys are involved with not only as a nonprofit asking for charitable contributions, but as we mentioned with Jeff Vernetti earlier, there's a legislative process involved with this, and the more we get the word out to our business owners in Camdenton in the area, the better it's going to be for you. What would you like people to know about Lake Area Industries and what your needs are?
Yeah, just like all nonprofits, Jeff, we never know when a piece of legislation is going to have a major impact on our business and our mission. We never know when a funding source might be taken away. But probably the most important part of advocating for us is just to keep new jobs coming in at all times. I mean, we have a lot of employees that want to work and they are good workers. So it takes a lot of work keeping them going. We're constantly advocating on all levels. So at a local level, we're engaged in our community. We're always meeting with our commissioners and our Senate Bill 40, inviting people to come in for tours and just spreading the word about what we do and the services we offer. On a state level, we have an A-team and an association for all the workshops across the state of Missouri. There's actually 86 of us. So we have a products and services show every day or every January in Jeff City, where we put all on display all the things that we do. But we also hold a day for choice in March in Jeff City. And we take our employees up there and we advocate with our legislators about the importance of having a choice in their employment options. So this year, when we went up to the Capitol for a day for choice, Representative Vernetti actually presented us with a resolution in honor of Lake Area Industries, which was really special. So we were excited about that. But it doesn't stop at the state level either. We actually have a coalition to preserve employment choice, and that's a federal group that all the states across the U.S. that have shelter workshops are trying to protect and preserve that choice of employment options for the folks that we serve. So they're working specifically to preserve the special wage certificate that the Department of Labor issues that make sheltered workshops function, and also keep an eye on all the federal legislation that's happening. So. But again, if you're listening, please check out our Facebook pages. We have Lake Area Industries, Gifted Gardens, and then Dignity Has a Voice, which is our A-team Facebook page. So that's the best way to follow us and get to know more. Again, if anybody's interested in coming in on a tour, we'd love to share our story. And the best way you can learn about sheltered employment is to come see our employees in action and let them tell you why they like their job.
Wow. A lot of amazing things happen and so close to home. I'm really glad we got a chance to tell business owners and people that are interested in the Camdenton area more about Lake Area Industries. Natalie Couch, we appreciate you joining us on Chamber Chat. Thanks for sponsoring us and keep up the amazing work. And I highly recommend folks come by, take the tour, keep up to date on Facebook, and do your part to help out Lake Area Industries. It's doing great things for our community. Natalie, we appreciate you. Thank you. All right. Very cool. All right. We want to thank them for their sponsorship. And back to Casey Cloke, Camdenton Area Chamber Executive Director. Well done on picking up some fantastic sponsorships and guests for our podcast today. We want to go back a little bit and then look to the future as well about what we can expect over the next month or so, Casey.
Yeah. So looking ahead, June, we've got several items, especially for our member businesses to keep an eye on. We're going to be still collaborating with those other two chambers and hosting our joint chamber networking social. We're going to be out at Old Kinderhook from 5 until 7 p.m. on Thursday, June 12th. It's going to be great networking. Kinderhook is going to be putting out quite the spread, complimentary appetizers, a cash bar, and lots of networking with your peers. We are going to be, we're aimed to be hosting this at the cabana outdoors. So as long as Mother Nature cooperates, we'll be there. Otherwise, we'll be somewhere in the hotel. So just keep an eye out. Come on over Old Kinderhook on June 12th from 5 until 7 p.m. And then let's say that's not enough networking for you between now and then. You can always jump into, I know I've talked about it, I think on every episode of our podcast, but it's it continues to grow, continues to provide so much value, is our leads program. We have 3 leads groups going now that meet at various times of the month. If you are looking for a more intimate setting to network with your business peers, share resources, and just grow your referrals, definitely reach out to us at the Camdenton Chamber. We do allow one person per industry in these groups, and we've got some openings still in a few of our groups, and would love to get you seated at one of those seats in the leads group. So keep that in mind. And then, I'm not going to dive too much into it today, but I think our next episode, I'll be really excited to share more about the brand new ambassadors program that our chamber is rolling out to better support our existing members and help also recruit new businesses, and just kind of having a bigger welcome wagon, if you will, and then just continuing to support our members throughout the year on our activities. So.
All right. Exciting things to come for sure. We want to thank this month's Camdenton Area Chamber Chat podcast sponsor, Lake Area Industries. We appreciate Natalie checking in, and a special thank you to Representative Jeff Vernetti joining us today to share the various legislative highlights relevant to our member businesses. We appreciate those folks coming in, more great guests in the future. And we're super excited that people keep tuning in, telling us they appreciate this, and giving us ideas on different subjects for Chamber Chat. Another month, another conversation. Thanks for joining us for the Camdenton Area Chamber Chat. CamdentonAreaChamber.com for more information. Facebook, of course, another way to stay in the know between episodes. Until next time, take care.